Nobody expected Strong Group Athletics to start its title defense like this. The defending champions came into the tournament with one clear mission: protect their crown and chase a historic three-peat. But instead of a statement victory, Strong Group Pilipinas found itself in trouble almost immediately against Wonju DB. From the opening tip, Korea's shooting touch was already a warning sign. Boban won the jump ball, but Strong Group couldn't capitalize on the first possession. Korea quickly struck through Ethan Alvano, the Filipino import playing for Wonju DB, and then came a three-pointer that instantly pushed the Korean side ahead. Suddenly, Strong Group was chasing. The problem wasn't just the scoreboard. Wonju DB had established the tempo, and their shooters were completely comfortable from beyond the arc. Strong Group struggled to find consistent offense, while Boban couldn't get into his rhythm early. And that was only the beginning. Because once Wonju DB found its shooting rhythm, Strong Group had a much bigger problem on its hands. Strong Group needed an immediate response, and for a moment, it looked like they might finally find one. They answered with a three-pointer of their own, trying to stop Wonju DB's momentum before the deficit became too large. But every time Strong Group appeared ready to make a run, Wonju DB seemed to have another answer. That was the story of the opening stretch. The Korean side moved the ball confidently, created open looks, and repeatedly punished Strong Group from the perimeter. Meanwhile, SGA struggled to generate the same offensive rhythm. The longer the first quarter went on, the more pressure fell on Strong Group to make something happen. Ethan Alvano was particularly important for Wonju DB. The Filipino guard was heavily involved offensively and helped keep the Korean team in control during the early stages. Strong Group also had to deal with a difficult matchup inside. Boban's size could be a major advantage, but Wonju DB appeared determined to attack the other side of that equation: his lack of speed. Coach Charles Tiu eventually pulled him from the game as the Korean team continued looking for ways to exploit that weakness. Aji then became an important presence in the middle, battling against Wonju's import center in what became a much more balanced fight in the paint. But the biggest issue remained the scoreboard. Strong Group had allowed Wonju DB to build too much momentum too early, and now every possession carried greater pressure. The defending champions were fighting to recover, but the Korean team had already taken control of the game. The deeper we look at this game, the clearer the biggest problem becomes. Strong Group wasn't simply losing shots, it was losing control of the game. Wonju DB's shooting forced SGA to defend differently from the opening minutes. Once those perimeter shots started falling, Strong Group had to worry about closing out on shooters while also protecting the paint. That created opportunities for Korea to keep attacking, and suddenly the defense was reacting instead of dictating. That's a dangerous position against a team that is already playing with confidence. And this is where the first quarter deficit became so important. A slow start can sometimes be overcome, but against a disciplined opponent, every possession becomes more difficult when you're playing from behind. The team with the lead can control the tempo, decide when to slow the game down, and make the trailing team take greater risks. Strong Group tried to fight its way back, but Wonju DB's defense made that comeback difficult. There were also important individual battles. Ethan Alvano showed why he was such a valuable offensive piece for Wonju DB, while Aji had to deal with a physical battle against the Korean team's import center. On the other side, AJ's ability was already familiar to Filipino basketball fans after his performances with Strong Group during the previous Jones Cup campaign. But talent alone wasn't enough. Strong Group needed better execution, better defensive discipline, and a much stronger response to Wonju's perimeter shooting. The team couldn't afford to become comfortable after falling behind, because every unanswered Korean basket made the mountain even steeper. And that's what makes this result so concerning for the defending champions. This was supposed to be the beginning of another championship campaign. Instead, Strong Group immediately found itself facing questions about its adjustments, its defensive approach, and its ability to respond when an opponent establishes control early. And now comes the uncomfortable question. If Strong Group struggled this badly against Wonju DB's shooting and tempo, what happens when they face their next challenge? Because UC Irvine could expose an entirely different set of problems. For Strong Group, this loss should be viewed as a warning, not a reason to panic. They are the defending champions, and the tournament is far from over. But if SGA wants to make another championship run and seriously pursue that three-peat, the response has to come quickly. The biggest lesson is simple. They cannot afford another opening like this. Against a team that is shooting confidently, Falling into a deep early deficit makes everything harder. Strong Group needs to defend the perimeter, control the tempo, and make opponents work for every possession from the opening tip. And now, all eyes turn to what comes next. The real test isn't whether Strong Group can lose a game and recover. It's whether they can learn from this loss before the next opponent exposes the same weaknesses. The champions have been challenged. Now we find out how they respond.